to kind of talk more about, your involvement in the ecosystem. I know you're, a mentor. You've been working with a few startups. Could you tell us about some of the ones you're working with, and your impressions of the Nordic ecosystem, maybe compared to even like the US, and I know you've had some exposure to Bangladesh through us as well, but just curious about your impressions of the ecosystem.
Yeah, so ever since the last couple of years, I have proactively, sorry about that. So as I was saying, ever since the last couple of years, I have tried proactively to get involved around with the Nordic ecosystem as well. Given the fact, just to shed a little insight, I have only been in Finland for the past 3 years. So the moment I kind of got in, to be getting to know people around, to be networking, and to get into the ecosystem sphere as well, the prime reason was that really love being around creative minds and people who solve problems. That is something I've been doing around the States as well. So naturally, when I got to Finland, got involved with mentoring a lot of Finnish startups, and then eventually that trickled around the Nordic ecosystem as well. Really cannot take a lot of names around because they are at the early phases of product related, but I can definitely speak about the domain. One of the domains I specifically try to get a little involved with are any product or service that is consumer product related. So when I talk about that, I'm talking about SaaS related products or e-commerce related products, or anything digital sales related as well. Yes. So sorry, what was the first part of your question again?
Yeah, just sort of the involvement that you're doing right now, and second is I guess comparing, let's say, to the US ecosystem, what are some defining features of the Nordic ecosystem? It sounds like one of those seems to be that these are small countries that they're very good at consumer SaaS and thinking beyond their borders from the beginning.
Yeah. So one of the really positive mindsets around, at least from, I can speak about Finland and then collectively as a whole, the Nordic ecosystem, per capita, there's tremendous amount of startups getting up. But what's really beautiful around this ecosystem as well is that there's plenty of money to go around. Even though these countries have really small demographics, and exactly because of this reason, when a problem gets picked up in some creative founder's mind, they're thinking about a problem that is scalable perhaps, and that resonates cross-border. So when they're thinking about a product, of course, it begins off with piloting around in the particular country, or in Finland or Sweden, Norway or Estonia as well. But then the collective goal definitely remains to be scaling multi-country pretty soon and pretty quick, just when there's initial traction towards a product market fit. And there's a hell lot of success stories exactly because of that kind of mentality, is that think and aim really big. If there's a problem that's solving worthy, be pretty certain a lot of people from other countries are exactly suffering for the same reasons as well. And yes, you were talking about possibly the US ecosystem as well. Over the last decade, at least around the Nordics, there's a tremendous amount of ecosystems that are coming together or popping up and nurturing really early stage, pre-seed stage startups as well. As a result, what's happening is networking, team building, mentoring, guidance, definitely with involvement of governments around forming a company, getting those initial ideas, getting those initial teammates, building those MVPs, and actually having a product market fit has become, thankfully, a very, very relatively easier path. So that, as a result, what we see on perhaps even a monthly basis, the amount of people getting together and solving problems and creating products for the market. And plenty of wheels moving simultaneously together has definitely improved the situation around here. And what has also happened at the same time, a lot of people from around Silicon Valley and a lot of other technology hubs around Europe as well, Berlin, Amsterdam, have really seen the Nordics as a very, very good potential market to be starting a company. As a result, a lot of companies do eventually get registered around here, and then products pretty much luckily take off too, with a lot of hard work as well.
Another question is, you're based in the EU, how do we get more NRBs in the technology sector in the EU to, integrate with or start giving back or start doing something with the Bangladesh ecosystem? And what's a good entry point?
You guys are doing a tremendous job as in itself. So everybody's pretty much aware that the NRB diaspora across continents or countries, there's a saying, no matter which part of the world you go into, no matter what country or city it's in, you'll most likely find a Bangladeshi around there. And that in itself is a blessing in itself, right? So if you collectively think around Bangladesh as an ecosystem, and what I mean by ecosystem is the fact that a developing country always has, no matter what direction or no matter what domain you pick up into working into, there's always a lot of chance of improving any service or any product. So developing countries has 101 problems. And there are a lot of exciting minds and brilliant minds coming together and trying and solving those. There's a lot of success stories coming out of Bangladesh or happening as we speak that are solving problems that have been in front of our eyes since forever. I guess me having spent most of my life abroad as being an NRB, whenever you speak with NRB outside of Bangladesh, all of us have the desire of trying to give back something, of doing something better for our country or doing something better for the fellow Bangladeshi back home. What would be the best channels? It always starts with the first stepping stone, which, as an example, and not to kind of, overshadow any effort that you guys are doing or anybody else is doing for that matter. But what you're doing and what Bangladesh Angels Network is doing as well is, I personally feel the first and foremost task about doing that is getting people together on a platform to enable mentoring, to enable multiple channels of networking. That is definitely a first step. And then bringing people together who are possibly interested around possibly similar pain points. Like when I think about Bangladesh, I think about sending money back home. I think about friends and family back home. I think about their health. I think about their security, their well-being. There's lots of other domains NRBs think about. It need not be always some money-making endeavor. It can always be, as plenty of our role model, Professor Muhammad Yunus as well, always keeps saying around, a business need not always be a for-profit business. So when we are talking about a country like Bangladesh, a developing nation like Bangladesh, pick up a problem, put up a business together around, and to be working towards the journey, towards solving a problem. I guess the first part towards that is networking with like-minded people. On a very regular basis, I do get approached with a lot of people, through a lot of people. And I guess pandemic, thankfully, has made virtual remote networking really a norm nowadays. So all it takes is just possibly, ask maybe for a 15, 30-minute slot to get to know each other, to get to talk about collaborations, to get to talk about, hey, mentorship, so on and so forth. I think mentoring is another, now that I speak about it too, is that whenever I speak with a lot of up and coming, possibly, change makers around from Bangladesh, even without NRBs trying to move into Bangladesh as well, one of the ways they want to really, really give back is through mentoring, and it need not be always financial as well. So that people really do not repeat the same mistakes that a lot of veterans, they have been, experienced and gone through the same kind of issues before.